Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video, we are going to be doing a Btartbox nail tutorial with a little bit of stamping. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now I'm going to start off by cleansing my natural nail plate. So I'm just doing this using some alcohol, giving the nails a really good scrub to make sure they're nice and clean before we go in and start our cuticle prep. Now actually, before jumping to cuticle prep, I did decide to come in and just fix up my free edge of the nails using my 180 grit side of my Kiki London file. So I'm just doing this because my natural nails were quite short and I wanted to just make sure they were a little bit neater because we're going in with short nail tips anyway. So I don't want there to be like any excess nail tip at the side that you're going to see through those Btartbox tips. Now you can do this step either before or after prepping. Sometimes I'll just mix it up. Then we're going to go in and start pushing back our cuticles. Now I'm using my KNS Cuticle Pusher for this. These are available from the Kiki London website. I'm going to be using a few Kiki products alongside the Btartbox tips, and I do have a discount code for Kiki, so I'll leave that in the description box below. Now you want to make sure that you push all of that cuticle back from the nail plate and you remove any dead, dried cuticle that's growing up the nail plate. This is going to really help your gel products adhere to the nail and you're not going to have any lifting issues. So I went in first of all and pushed back all of that living tissue that we're not getting rid of, but then I did also scrape off all that dead, dry cuticle that's going up the nail plate, and you can just do this by gently scraping it back. I did have a few untidy areas around the cuticle area, kind of like some dried hangnails, so I'm just nipping them off using some cuticle nippers. So I'm being really careful here. I don't want to cut or nip any of the living tissue away. Then once I've done this, I'm going to go in and remove the shine from the natural nail plate. So this is called etching, and I'm using this little etching tool that I picked up from Amazon to do this. This is really handy. It kind of has like disposable buffer grit ends that you stick on to the end of it, so you can do this and then peel off that little white piece and replace it with a new one. So I'm just using a 180 grit, I suppose I'm going to call it a buffer, but I'm going to use the 180 grit pad and then just gently go over the entire nail at once. You want to avoid going over the same area over and over, and you want to keep this quite gentle as well. We're wanting to simply remove that shine from the natural nail plate. And then this does also help if you've got any stubborn cuticle that you might have missed as well, especially like around the sidewalls areas. It really helps pick this up, and then you can go back in with your cuticle nippers or your cuticle pusher to get rid of it. I'm then going to give the nails a good dust using a soft dust brush, and then we're going to want to cleanse them again with some alcohol to make sure they're clean from any dust that might have been created when we was buffing, but also to dehydrate the nail plate. Now if you don't have that little etching tool that I showed you there, you can do this step with a buffer as well. Now I'm going to go in and apply a base coat under my Btartbox nail tips. Now this step is completely optional. You don't have to apply a base coat to them, but because I've been working on my nails a lot lately, they've been a little bit damaged. I wore some acrylics and stupidly picked them off as well. So because I've got a little bit of damage, my nails are on a little bit of the weaker side, I'm going to go in and apply a base coat underneath my Btartbox nail tips. So as I mentioned, this step is completely optional. I just would recommend it if you have got any weak damaged nails. So I'm using the Kiki London rubber color base for this step, and I just went in with a really sheer nude. Now before I applied this, I did come in with a primer because this particular base coat does require a primer underneath, so just check with what products you're using, but a lot of gel products do require a primer underneath. This is something that's great about the Btartbox tips, is they don't actually require a base coat or primer underneath. So if you are just doing these for your own nails, you know, kind of like a little DIY set, then you don't need to own as many products as say a regular nail tech. So once I've applied this base coat to all of the nails, I'm going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. I do always like to do my fingers and then my thumb separately just to make sure everything cures nicely. So you might see certain steps throughout this video where I don't show you guys doing the same step on the thumbnail, but I have done it just off camera. So like I said, this does require a 60-second cure. I did just clean up around the cuticle area to make sure I'd removed any gel that had gone onto the skin or cuticles. Then on to the Btartbox tips. We're using their Xcoat French tips today, and this was their red pack. Now I do believe I have a video up doing these in a red set. I think it was around Valentine's Day time, but when I got these I noticed they had this gorgeous rich brown set, and I always had it in mind that I would do a set using these for autumn. So here we are. Now first of all, you're going to want to come in and size up your nail tip. So I like to just press down the size that I think is going to fit. I've been doing my nails with these for so long now that I can kind of just glance at a tip and know which one fits. But you basically want to make sure that it's fitting nicely from sidewall to sidewall. You don't want to have to apply too much pressure to get it to fit. So if when you loosely place it down on the nail and you're kind of looking and it's not fitting, then you want to size up. If you feel as though it's touching too much of the skin, then you're going to want to size down. I do love that you get quite a can't get my words out. I do love that you get quite a wide range of sizes in these. So I feel as though I've only really done my daughter and my own nails with these. She has teeny tiny nail beds, but I do find as though there's enough sizes to get a couple of sets out of, and enough sizes that they fit a variety of nail beds. Now usually I would apply these using my Btartbox nail lamp, but my daughter had borrowed that and not brought it back, so I'm just using this lamp from Melody Susie. But you basically want to use any kind of UV lamp to cure the gel. Now for this particular set I'm using the Btartbox glue gel that's in the bottle. Usually I use their solid glue gel, but I thought we would mix it up today. So I've painted that on into the well of the nail tip, and then I've applied just a small amount right down at the cuticle area so that we can feel the built-in apex that is in these nails. Now depending on your nails, if you've got long natural nails, you might need a little bit more gel than what I've used here, and also if you have quite flat nails, you might find that you need to put a little bit more gel in to feel that natural curve so that your nail tip is getting really good contact with your natural nail plate. You then want to pop it under your UV light to cure. Now I usually cure it for around 10 seconds, and then I'll take a brush with some alcohol on it and wipe off any excess gel that's kind of like seeped out with that little bit of alcohol before it's fully cured, and then I'll pop it under the light again to finish off curing. Now you do need to make sure that you cure these for a full 60 seconds. I do 30 seconds on each nail under a little light, and then I pop them in my larger LED light for a full 60 seconds just to make sure everything is fully cured. Now if you are using the little Btartbox light that comes with them when you order these tips, like I said, you would have seen it in previous videos, that does have a 60-second timer on it as well, so you can just hold your nail tip under the light for 60 seconds and it's fully cured. So again, I'm going to go in and do the same again. This nail tip didn't go as perfectly, so if you feel as though you place your nail tip down and it's just not got good contact, maybe you've not got enough gel, then simply remove it, apply a little bit more gel and place it down again. You can play around with the application as much as you like before curing to perfect it, but obviously once it's cured, it's solid. As I was showing you guys there, it's stuck down, it's not moving. So we're going to repeat that step on all of the nails. Now the more you do your nails with these, the more practice you get with how much gel you need. A little bit does go a long way. Now there are a few different types of gel available on the Btartbox website, and they all have their own pros and cons. This one in the bottle I find the quickest and sort of fastest, the quickest to apply. It's a bit of a thinner consistency. You simply paint it on, press the nail tip down, and away you go. The solid glue gel is a little bit thicker, so I feel as though it takes a little bit longer to get it out of the tube, get it on the nail, but I do find that one the best. It's so solid and it really helps hold the nail in place whilst you're curing it, where with the one in the bottle I feel as though you've got to hold it a bit more. It hasn't got that grab like the solid glue gel does. Now I do have a whole playlist of Btartbox videos up on my channel, so I'll leave that linked in the description box below, because different times I've applied them slightly differently. Like in today's video where I've used the base coat underneath, there's plenty of videos where I haven't done that. So lots of the videos do share tips and tricks, and then it shows the different shapes and styles that are available as well. I think if you go back to some of the older videos where I used to wear my nails really long, there's quite a few of their long nail tips which are absolutely beautiful. So anyway, I've applied all of those tips. I then popped them in a larger LED lamp to give them a full 60-second cure, just because I'd only been pretty much flash curing them as applying. I'm then going to go around and just clean up some of the excess gel that was still around that cuticle area. I didn't have the most perfect application today when it comes to gel. As I said, me personally, I do prefer their solid glue gel, which is the one in the tube. They do also have a gel that's in a pot as well, which is more like a gummy gel. I haven't fully tried that yet. I have got a pot, but I've not played around with it enough to feel confident to do a video on it just yet. But hopefully I'll feature that on the channel soon. Now that we've got those tips applied, I'm going to come in with my 180 grit file and just file off the little tab that's on the end of the tips. I have seen people nip this off with cuticle nippers as well, so if you don't want to file them, you can go in and do it that way. You do want to be really careful that you're only filing off that tab and not filing into the shape. Then another optional step, but I really love doing this, is just going in with my buffer around that cuticle area. I feel as though this thins out the tip ever so slightly at that cuticle area, and then as they're growing out, they look seamless still. You don't feel that kind of thick tip. So I just go in very carefully. We're only wanting to buff around that cuticle area. You're especially not wanting to buff over the painted on French tip, as you will buff this off. So I'm angling my buffer so it's only hitting around that cuticle area and just basically blending it in a little bit. Now you could do this with a file, but I feel as though a file would just file into the tips too much. So that's why I only like to do it with a buffer. You are then going to want to make sure that you give those nails a good clean. I dusted off first and then went in with some alcohol just to make sure all of that dust is removed. And then again, this is a completely optional step. We're then going to go on to applying our builder gel. Now this is what makes the Btartbox tips superior in my opinion. The kit comes with a builder gel and a top coat, so it makes this nail tips feel stronger. Now they're gel nail tips anyway, so they do already feel quite strong, but I feel as though coming in with this layer of builder gel over the top really strengthens them. It makes me feel as though I'm wearing a full sculpted gel set of nails, not necessarily press on nail tips. They feel so much stronger than your regular press on nail tips in my opinion. Now you can add nail art either before or after the builder gel. So I'm doing stamping today, so I'm going to add it after my builder gel so that my stamping is sandwiched between that layer of builder gel and the layer of top coat. In previous videos I've done it the other way around and we've stamped directly on to the nail tips, so it's completely up to you. Also, depending on what kind of nail art I'm doing, if I'm doing glitter, I'll do it underneath the builder gel so that we get a nice smooth application. So it is handy that you have that option there. Moving on to stamping, I'm going to be using 2 plates from Miss Lucy UK. I've got my stamper to hand, a lint roller for cleaning my stamper with, and then a scraper for scraping off the excess stamping polishes. For my stamping polishes today, I'm using some autumn colours from Born Pretty. I did used to always leave these linked on my Amazon store, but they have been out of stock for so long, and loads of you always comment asking where I got these from, and it comes as a whole kit and it was such a bargain. But like I said, it's been out of stock on Amazon for ages. You can also pick them up individually though on AliExpress, so let me know if you need a link for anything and I'll try find one and leave it in the description box below. So for this step I wanted to do some two-tone stamping, so I've gone in with a darker and lighter brown, applied both to that stamping plate and then scraped them to slightly blend the two colours together, picked up my image, and then I'm going to use my lint roller to remove all of those excess images we've picked up. And then I was just trying to debate what nail tip to put this first leaf down on, so I decided to go down on the pointer finger. So we're going to press down firmly, a little wriggle and rock from side to side and then lift off, and we have a beautiful stamp. I really love doing this two-tone effect when it comes to autumn leaves, as I feel as though it's just so beautiful. So I'm then going to come in and just wipe off that little bit of excess stamping polish that went on to the skin. So I'm just taking some alcohol to do this on an old nail art brush, just giving it a little scrub. You can do this either before or after top coating, but of course if you're doing it before top coating, you want to be really careful that you're not hitting that image that you've put down on the nail, as it will remove that. So I'm going to go in and give my stamping plate a good clean with some acetone. You want to make sure you're doing this between every image so that you get a nice clean pickup every time. If you go in with a nice clean plate, I feel as though you're definitely going to get a nice clean stamp. So now I'm going to go in and do the same again. So I'm going to take the lighter brown and apply that to half of the image, then the darker brown and apply that to the other half. Be really careful that you don't pick up the previous color on your brush, and then I'm going to scrape in the direction that I applied them just to blend the two colors slightly. And then a quick flick of the wrist with my stamper, we've picked that image up, and I loved how those two colours blended. Then just took my lint roller, just a little tap with the lint roller will pick up all those excess images, and then we're going to press down. And I really loved this. I loved this especially because the darker brown matched the French tip on these perfectly, which was just a coincidence, but it worked really well. And then I did decide to do a third two-tone stamp on the thumbnail, and then we're just going to go in and do some little gold leaves on the other two nails, because I didn't want to go in and do the same look on all 5 nails. I thought I would keep 2 of them a little bit more simple. So again, onto the thumbnail, applying both our stamping polishes side by side, making sure they're covering the image, and then just scraping in the direction that you applied your stamping polishes so that they blend together down the center where those two colors met. And then we've picked that up, removed the excess, and we're going to place it down. And the thumbnail did end up being my favorite. I think it's because it's a larger surface. It really made this image pop. I didn't get as much of the light brown coming through though. So on to the rest of the nails, I switched from using the winter foliage stamping plate to the autumn leaves, and I just simply wanted to add down some simple gold leaves. And this stamping plate, I reach for this a lot because I love these little leaves if you just want to add some little details. So I'm going to put this so they're going slightly over the French on both the middle and the ring finger. No, sorry, the middle and the little finger. Now I get asked a lot about stampers and things like that. I've used so many different stampers over the years, from expensive ones like the clear jelly stamper, as well as cheaper ones from AliExpress. Now this one I'm currently using is just a cheap one from AliExpress. I've been using it for a couple of months now, and it's been working perfectly. If you are looking for a branded stamper though, I do recommend checking out Miss Lucy UK or Clear Jelly Stamper, as they both have brilliant quality stamping plates and stampers, etc. Now we need to seal in our nail art and finish off those tips, so I'm going to use the Btartbox top coat for this. Of course, if you didn't add any nail art, then you would have come straight in after curing your builder gel with this top coat. Now the top coat has a slightly thinner consistency to the builder gel, so it's a little easier to apply. You just simply want to paint it on. I like to cap the free edge, so I'm just making sure that my brush is brushing over that free edge of the nail. And then I do love this top coat because it has such a beautiful high shine, and I feel as though it's quite long lasting as well, so it doesn't dull quickly or anything like that. Again, cleaning up any gel products that have got onto the skin before we pop them into cure, and I'm then going to pop them in to cure for a full 60 seconds. Now this was a really quick and easy set to do, and these are my go-to products for like the tips. The Btartbox tips are my go-tos if I'm just wanting a quick and easy set to wear on myself. Off camera I did end up doing the other hand, so for a change I actually had matching nails. Of course we're going to finish off with a little bit of cuticle oil, and then that takes us to the end of today's video. I really hope you have all enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, suggestions for future videos, do pop them in the comments below. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you're not already subscribed, please do hit that subscription button, and I shall see you all again in the next video. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.